Welcome to the Human 5.0 Project, the podcast where we cut straight to the breakthroughs that matter, the show where science meets self-optimization. I'm your host, Ultimate Biohacker 10X, and here we break down the real research, real data, and real dosing behind modern biohacking, from compounds and peptides to techniques, devices, lifestyle strategies, and performance protocols. Most people jump in and jump out before they get the gold, so we're keeping it tight and delivering the essential insights you need without the fluff. If you've taken the time to hit play, we'll make sure you walk away with valuable knowledge that can transform your approach to longevity, health optimization, and beyond. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Human 5.0 Project, decoding the molecules rewriting human potential. Today we're talking about semaglutide. If you've been anywhere near health podcasts or X feeds, you know it's the GLP-1 agonist behind Ozempic and Wegovy. But its story goes deeper than celebrity weight loss. Developed by Novo Nordisk in 2017 for type 2 diabetes, semaglutide was really the first of its kind to hit the market in a big way. And even though newer players have come along, by 2025, it is still the most prescribed peptide in history. It's being studied for everything from Alzheimer's to heart failure. Yes, it was first to the scene, and while it's a bit overshadowed now by newer triple agonists, its utility is still incredibly important in the realm of peptides and metabolic treatment, and today we're going to unpack all of it. So let's dive into how semaglutide actually works. It's a synthetic analog of GLP-1, that's glucagon-like peptide 1, a gut hormone that essentially tells your brain you're full. It binds to GLP-1 receptors in the pancreas to boost insulin, in the stomach to slow down how quickly it empties, and in the hypothalamus to reduce appetite. The magic is that it has a half-life of about 165 hours. That's roughly 7 days. So one weekly shot mimics your natural hormone pulses without causing big spikes. It also taps into glucagon receptors to keep your blood sugar steady and supports beta cell regeneration in people with type 2 diabetes. In 2025 trials, it's shown a 20% reduction in visceral fat without losing muscle, thanks to its ability to preserve lean mass through pathways like insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. And it's not just about weight. It also has neuroprotective effects, reduces inflammation, and even shifts the gut microbiome for better digestion. Essentially, it's reprogramming your metabolism to be more efficient. Let's talk about dosing. It's actually pretty straightforward, but you do want to increase it gradually. For weight loss with Wegovy, you start at 0.25 milligrams subcutaneously once a week for the first month, and then bump up to 0.5 milligrams. And eventually up to 2.4 milligrams by month 4. For diabetes with Ozempic, you're usually in the 0.25 to 1 milligram weekly range. If you're using the oral form, Rybelsus, it's 3 to 14 milligrams a day, but absorption is only about 1%, so it needs to be taken on an empty stomach. Side effects are mostly gastrointestinal, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and about 20 to 30% of people feel that. But it usually resolves by week 4. There are some risks, although rare, like gallbladder issues or thyroid C-cell tumors in rodents, though human data does look clean. And as of 2025, there are compounded versions at slightly higher doses, but it's still best to stick with the standard pharmaceutical versions for safety. A little pro tip, hydrate well, eat fiber, and take it after a meal to reduce nausea. Now, let's talk about stacking semaglutide with other tools to get even better results. For muscle preservation, you can pair it with something like tesamorelin or CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. These growth hormone boosters help counter any potential dip in lean mass and can add about 5 to 10% more fat-specific loss. Something that just came onto the scene is SLU-PP332, which we will do a talk about in the near future. And that seems to also have promise for the preservation of lean body mass. And it's oral, so it's kind of cool. For metabolic longevity, you can add berberine 500 milligrams 3 times a day, or metformin for extra insulin synergy. Trials have shown that this combo can reduce liver fat by an additional 15%. For anti-inflammation, think about adding omega-3s, about 2 grams of EPA or DHA daily, and curcumin. And for gut support during the titration period, BPC 157 at about 250 micrograms a day can help repair any irritation. For those focused on longevity, stacking semaglutide with NMN at 500 milligrams to 1 gram a day, you'll get a boost in NAD levels, and this mimics the effects of caloric restriction without the hunger. And for women in menopause, adding DIM or other hormone balancers can be a game changer. These aren't just fluff. They can really amplify semaglutide's pathways for 20 to 30% better outcomes. Let's get into the 2025 biohacking twist, microdosing semaglutide. The biohacking community is loving these smaller, more frequent doses, something like 0.1 to 0.5 milligrams weekly, or even every 10 to 14 days. It's all about maintaining steady metabolic upgrades without that yo-yo effect. Why do this? Well, because these microdoses tap into natural rhythms, giving you better energy, sleep, and mood from the subtle GLP-1 hits. Some people are combining it with fasting windows for metabolic flexibility, and they're seeing about a 10 to 15% loss over 6 months with no rebound. So it's basically turning a weight loss tool into a Healthspan hero. Finally, let's talk on safety, the future, and why you might pick semaglutide over something like Tirzepatide or Retatrutide. Overall, semaglutide has a strong safety profile with low discontinuation rates, and it's not recommended during pregnancy or for anyone with a history of medullary thyroid cancer. But here's the thing. Even with the newer triple agonists on the scene, you might choose semaglutide because it's got a well-established track record. It's been studied extensively, prescribed widely, and we know a lot about its long-term effects. Plus, for those who want a more straightforward approach or who might be a bit cautious about newer, more complex drugs, semaglutide is still a solid and reliable choice. In other words, it's not just about being first to market. It's about having that proven track record and knowing exactly what you're getting. And that's why semaglutide remains a go-to in the peptide world. Looking ahead, semaglutide is being studied in phase 3 trials for Alzheimer's due to its neuroprotective potential, for heart failure, and even for addiction treatment through its effects on dopamine pathways. It's proof that small tweaks can lead to massive rejuvenation. Well, that's a wrap for today, so drop your thoughts below, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Human Upgrade Project. If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their biology. Make sure to follow the show for weekly deep dives into peptides, protocols, devices, lifestyle strategies, and the science of high-performance longevity. Until next time, stay curious, stay optimized, and stay 10x.